Crawford and Canelo.
Yeah.
Canelo will sleep Crawford.
With the epic showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford recently announced to take place in December or January next year, boxing fans and pros all around the world seem excited about this battle between their favorite legendary fighters. The fight, which has been in talks for a very long time, is finally seeing the light of day as the one and only Turki Al-Sheikh recently announced the potential dates when this battle between the boxing elite will take place. On a mission to revive boxing to its previous glory, His Excellency has been in talks of further organizing these mega boxing events in various cities all around the globe that will not only increase the revenue, but also provide the fans with what they have been waiting for. His Excellency commented, "I want this fight, and we are thinking of doing it in America because we want it huge." With this fight now officially underway, it is no wonder everyone is hyped up, including the fighters themselves, as this fight can provide them, especially Terence, to become one of the top fighters. Crawford, while talking about this upcoming battle, has expressed his views, calling it something that was long overdue, as he and Canelo both are top players in the middleweight division right now. He said, "You got two of the top fighters of this decade, not just in the past year or so. You got two fighters that have been at the top for 10 years. You got the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and you got the #1 money man." Despite this situation and future opportunities, Terence emphasized that right now his main focus is on the upcoming fight with Israel Madrimov on August 3rd, and winning in this fight will be the deciding factor for his next fights, so he must focus and take this one seriously first. Terence further said, "I never like to overlook anybody. I got a fight coming up on August 3, and that's where my main focus is." Canelo himself has talked about this possible fight with Crawford in the past, saying that if the fight comes, then he will most certainly be ready for it. And on one occasion, he has even talked about how for Crawford to come fight him, he must reach the weight of 168 first.
You know, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't want to get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because then everybody's going to say, it's too small, it's too small, it's too small. And then, you know, he needs to enjoy his fight.
Okay,
he deserves it. He deserves it.
What do you think of the fight?
Oh, I like Spence, but you know, I like Spence and all the respect for him and everything. But I knew. I think is the type of fight Terence Crawford is fighter is different.
All right, if you please raise your hand. We'll now open questions up to media.
Canelo, directly right here in front of you, straight ahead of you. Right here, Canelo. Terence Crawford, his name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
You know, I always say if the fight make sense, why not? But he is not in the plan.
He's not in the plan? No. Okay. Is there a specific reason for it? Is it because of his size, or it won't do anything for you in terms of pushing you toward your goals?
You know, like I say, if it makes sense, maybe. I don't know right now. I just gonna enjoy this fight, and please let me enjoy this fight, and then you gonna know what is next, for sure.
Looking at the stats of both the fighters, it seems like you cannot get a better battle, as looking at Canelo, we have a 168-pounder who is an undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, who defended his title against big names such as Jaime Munguia, and later with Jermell Charlo in fights that can only be described as awesome. Known for his quick jabs and excellent footwork, there is a reason that Canelo is known as the king in the middleweight division. Not far behind, Terence "Bud" Crawford is also not someone to be underestimated, as he has been undefeated in 3 divisions after his fight with Errol Spence last year, which resulted in his retaining his title and knocking out Spence. Crawford is known for his adaptability and offensive style, and is also someone who holds the ability to take down any fighter who goes against him. Knowing all this, it is no surprise that the pros in the industry also seem to have a lot to say about this upcoming fight, ranging from opinions about the fighting stance that will help either fighter to outright predictions about who would win. Everyone in the industry is choosing a side that they want to be on when the fight finally takes place. Meanwhile, Errol Spence, who despite losing to the Bud, seems to be on his side in this fight against Canelo. Commenting on Crawford's mission of moving up, Errol said how this is something that Terence will be able to do and there is no 100% possibility of who would win, but still, he would be on Terence's side. He said, "I'll be going for Bud. You know, if he fights Canelo, I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he is going to win or lose, but I definitely will be going for Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. Yeah, you know he's chasing greatness, so why not?" While talking about people calling out Crawford for going too far, Errol commented on how Canelo did it, as well as he too started from 147 and then went up to 152 and 175 pounds to fight Floyd and Bivol respectively, which ended up working well for him in greater schemes of things. Errol further added, Canelo came up to 175 and, you know, fought Bivol and fought the other guy too. So, I mean, if he can do it, he started at 147. So, I mean, if he is doing it, why can't Crawford do it? Moving forward, we have the all-time favorite British promoter, Eddie Hearn, who has remarked on various occasions how Canelo might not be too excited about this fight, as this is not something that will help him go on forward, but on the other hand, it might prove to be quite a nice challenge for Terence, who is known to move up in weights to fight better boxers in respective weight classes. Eddie remarked, "I don't think he's Canelo overly interested in the Terence Crawford fight because I think he'll be thinking, I'm not going to get any credit for beating Terence Crawford. He's a 147-pounder who's just moved to 154. You're asking him to move up to 168 and fight a guy that's going to massively outsize him." Eddie then added, "Also at this stage in Canelo Alvarez's career stylistically, I'm not sure he wants to fight a mover." While talking about who could potentially win this fight, Eddie remarked on how Terence has proved to be someone who moves up and fights big players to earn more respect for himself, and in most cases, he ends up winning. But this time, it would not be too easy for him as it looks like Canelo might be the one who puts an end to Terence's dreams of moving further up. He said Terence Crawford, he's got to continue to chase greatness, and he's got to look for the biggest fights out there. Obviously, that's a big fight for him financially. As good as Terence Crawford is, I think the only way he gets beaten is by moving too far out of his weight class, and I think this is the fight that gets him beat. Having the same concern regarding the weight difference between the two boxers, one of the best trainers, Andre Rozier, also pointed this out, warning Terence about this as in the game of boxing, these things end up making a lot of difference, but still with good technique and skill set that Terence possesses, he might need to look out for Canelo, who is known to be a beast. He said TC is a different individual, he's a different monster, but that's at 147. If this was maybe 160, I'd be more likely to say, okay, but this is 3 weight class differences, and weight classes make a difference, they make a difference. He then added, I think that although Terence has incredible boxing capabilities, size is still important, strength is still important, punching power is still important. Rozier is also seen making comments on how this fight seems to favor Canelo instead of Crawford, and for this reason, he does not like this fight for Crawford as he is just flying too close to the sun this time, and he might end up getting burnt.
Terence has lots of work at 47 and 54, even at 60, if he can carry it. But I don't want to see him going to places he need not go just because people have talked to him.
Not having this same idea, Tim Bradley said that this weight difference is not something that will stop Terence, as he is someone who is out to get more fame and has had eyes on Canelo for a very long time. So despite everyone thinking him to the underdog in this fight, he might be able to defeat Canelo, who seems to be underestimating him after he beat Charlo earlier. He said, the mentality of Crawford is that he's a top pound-for-pound guy. Charlo was never a top pound-for-pound guy. The skill set of Crawford as well, what he brings, he's a competitive man, and he's been after Canelo. He wants to fight Canelo, and I think he'll do well against Canelo. Being on the same topic, Tim also talked about how this can be compared to the fight with Floyd Mayweather, in which Canelo lost, and how Terence might end up winning the fight because of his skill set and mentality of moving on forward against someone like Canelo. He said, I think that Crawford has that ability. He can be able to outbox him, outthink him, make him miss, make him pay. You know what I mean? As long as he's not catching too many of those hits, and he's using his legs and his athleticism and defense to get out of the way, he should be able to beat Canelo. Not really in support of Terence, Bob Arum, being a renowned boxing promoter, gave his bold take on the fight, saying how this would be an easy fight fight for Canelo to win against Terence, as he is just the superior fighter out of the two with more experience when it comes to fighting in this weight class. He remarked, "I think Canelo wipes the floor with him. I love Crawford. I told you when Crawford and Spence that Crawford would beat the hell out of him, but Canelo is a different proposition. It's an interesting fight, but I think there's only one winner. Canelo is used to fighting at a particular level, and I don't think that Terence can hurt Canelo, but Canelo can hurt Terence." Canelo Alvarez, being the Mexican powerhouse and national treasure, is known for his remarkable fighting style and an excellent record of 60 fights, out of which he only lost 2 times. One time to Dimitri Bivol in 2022, and the other time to Floyd Mayweather Jr. in 2013 in a very upsetting match. Looking at these records, it is no wonder that many pros and coaches are on the side of Canelo in this fight, including Rob Acosta, who is a popular boxing coach himself. While on this topic, Acosta remarked on how this fight is totally on Canelo's side. And even though Crawford is someone who has remarkable strength and fighting stance, he would not be able to hold on against someone like Canelo, who is used to counterattacks like these.
Canelo will fucking sleep Crawford, without a doubt. There is nothing that Crawford possesses other than a good IQ, a high IQ, and boxing ability for him to beat Canelo. I think, you know what it is? I think everybody thinks that they can go in there and do something until they're actually in there trying to do something. You know what I'm saying? So I think Crawford should focus on the 154 division.
Also commenting on the weight difference between the two, Rob emphasized that this fight may have been in Terence's favor if the weight class was around 150-155, but in the weight division of 168, Terence has near to no chance of winning the fight. He expressed, "I think if Crawford goes up to 168 and he gets touched because he will get hit, let's be honest, his defense is not immaculate, but if he does get hit, and when he does get hit, it's going to be a different fight." Moving on to everyone's favorite coach and boxing analyst, Teddy Atlas, who has one clear winner in his mind, and that seems to be the American pride, Terence Crawford. Talking about Bud's immaculate fighting style, Teddy commented that this technique and adaptability shown by Crawford makes him a very hard opponent to beat for anyone including Canelo. Teddy said, "He's Terence, got the character, and I know he's got the mind. I know he has special gifts that very few fighters have." He further added, "Crawford has the ability to slow things down in the ring that very few people have, and to see things that nobody else can see because he slows it down where other people don't see it. And that's what makes his timing so special. Yeah, he's got great power, he carried it up." Talking about whether Crawford would be able to outsmart someone like Canelo, Teddy emphasized the fact that Terence would most certainly be able to outsmart someone of Canelo's caliber, and would come out victorious in the end because of his firm composure. Teddy said, "He, Canelo, can do all the things that have made him so special, there's no doubt about it, but we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford. Just because he's smaller, we're forgetting that he'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his sight." Bernard Hopkins gave his idea about the fight as well, calling it out to be a ridiculous idea as both fighters seem to have a great weight difference, which would in the end prove to be even dangerous for Crawford's well-being. Bernard also said that in the bigger picture of things, the only person who will gain any benefit from winning this fight is Terence, not Canelo.
Crawford cares about his life, and with that fight, what do that fight do for Canelo fighting Crawford, and Crawford beats Canelo? What do that do for Canelo?
Moving on, we all know that it would not be a Canelo-Alvarez fight if Oscar De La Hoya does not comment on it, and just like all the times before, Oscar seems to be on Canelo's opponent's side. Being in a long-time feud with Canelo, Oscar commented on how Canelo may end up losing this time, as even despite his size advantage, Crawford will end up overpowering him by using his skills. Oscar said, "I give Crawford all the credit in the world for even thinking about possibly fighting Canelo, but if that fight ever takes place, I have Crawford 1,000%. He went on to add, "Crawford is a big guy who can handle Canelo because they're the same size. Crawford is a guy who punches hard, but he doesn't rely on his power. He relies on his footwork. He relies on his speed, his change-ups. He relies on his combinations. He relies on his mind, and I believe that Crawford is a way better boxer than Canelo." Coming on last is the former professional boxer and current trainer, known for his straightforward opinions, Brian Bomac McIntyre, who seemed to be on Crawford's side, saying how this fight would be another great win for Terence, who is in the process of moving up towards the Hall of Fame of gaining titles in all the major weight classes. Brian, while answering the same question of Terence trying too hard this time, clarified that even though most pros and fans seem to think it might be Canelo who has the upper hand, the real hardcore fans know that this time it would be Terence who wins. Brian said, "Everybody that believes in hardcore boxing fans, they know Crawford can beat Canelo just like that. They knew Bud was going to beat Spence. This is real simple. It's real simple." So this is all for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to tell us about your thoughts in the comments below.